Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, President Tinubu unveils 8-point agenda at first cabinet meeting, directs minister to alleviate poverty. Police Service Commission directs 4 Deputy Inspectors General of Police to proceed on retirement. 139 stranded Nigerians in Libya return home. And away from Nigeria, Libya suspends foreign minister after Israel meeting sparks protests. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Eugenia Abu. We start with the presidency. President Bola Tinubu says all ministries are priority areas, and if his cabinet works as a team, it will be able to deliver on promises that have been made to Nigerians. The president spoke on Monday at the first meeting of the Federal Executive Council under the present administration, stressing that his cabinet could not afford to fail Nigerians. Kehinde Amodu was there for Trust TV. Now reports.
The maiden meeting of the cabinet under the Tinubu administration started around 12 noon in the council chambers of State House Abuja with the rendition of the national anthem. The focus of the new administration has been defined by the challenges that heralded its coming, and the president is laying emphasis on the need for ministers to perform optimally.
But to turn things around, you have been selected to perform your utmost best. The policy agenda will be set to reform the economy to deliver sustainable and inclusive growth, strengthen national security for peace and prosperity.
President Tinubu notes that even though areas of priority have been identified, such as the state of emergency on food security and the country's security challenges, all ministries are priority areas which are working towards one goal.
Declared state of emergency. What is your goal? Every one of you is a member of this team. Every one of you. No partitioning. We can do whatever we want on the assignment of responsibility. But all depends on you that if you stay focused, we all will arrive at a better destination and the country will be better off for it.
The ministers pledged to work tirelessly to deliver on policies and programs of government. As is expected, the inaugural meeting had a full house with all members of cabinet in attendance. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
In the meantime, the federal government has no intention of borrowing from any local or foreign organization following its twin economic reforms of fuel subsidy removal and exchange rate harmonization. Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, revealed this on Monday at the end of the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House Abuja. He spoke on a day President Bola Tinubu rolled out his roadmap for the economy, urging the new cabinet to evolve developmental targets along the 8 priority areas of his renewed hope agenda. Again, Kehinde Amodu reports.
President Tinubu's 8-point agenda revolves around national security, economy, agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation, education, healthcare, the digital economy, women empowerment and judicial reform. Key to the success of his renewed hope agenda is the revival of the economy and building on the gains of fuel subsidy removal.
These 8 priority areas for moving the Nigerian economy forward and for delivering to Nigerians. And those are basically food security, ending poverty, economic growth and job creation, access to capital, particularly consumer credit, inclusivity in all its dimensions, particularly as regards youth and women, improving security, improving the playing field on which people and particularly companies operate, rule of law, and of course, fighting corruption.
Investment offers are already coming up in different sectors of the economy. The cabinet members are therefore seeking to build platforms of collaboration between relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government.
He promised 50 million jobs, and that's our target. And we will take it in phases. We're looking at different sectors of the economy that will contribute to this job creation. Chief among them is the creative industry and the digital economy. And then the agri sector and agro-processing zone, and mining, oil and gas. So we are very, very confident that we will achieve this.
Food security is what this administration of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has spelled out to do, is to make sure, like I've earlier stated, that food is available, affordable and accessible.
But the focus will not only be on the economy, but on the well-being of Nigerians.
I think it's very clear that the President wants us to domesticate our efforts within our own national context, but also to be very practical in the interventions that we make. And with those matching orders, we now have our work cut out for us, and will continue to refine as the Coordinating Minister of the Economy indicated.
These are early days and the parameters are just being set. The ministers have unanimously given assurances that the impact of government will soon be evident across the entire nation. In the days to come, Nigerians will get to see what is contained in the President's 8-point agenda and whether his cabinet will be disposed to follow him up the path of implementation despite the glib promises in this first cabinet meeting. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Away from the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Police Service Commission, PSC, has ordered 4 Deputy Inspector Generals of Police to immediately proceed on compulsory retirement. The affected senior police officers include Damalam Mohammed, Moses Mbakina Jitibo, Hafiz Mohammed Inua, and Adeleke Adeyin Kabodi. The spokesman of the commission, Ike Chukwuani, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja on Monday, said the commission gave the order in the exercise of its statutory powers. He explained that the order became imperative because the Police Service Commission had expected those DIGs who were seniors in rank to the acting IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, would immediately after his appointment apply to voluntarily retire. The PSC spokesman said such expected application was in consonance with the revered tradition of discipline and regimented culture of the Nigeria Police Force. The PSC, however, approved the appointment of 4 Assistant Inspectors General of Police to the rank of DIGs, which would be subjected to ratification by the board of the commission to replace the retired DIGs. Those new DIGs include Ibrahim Sani Kaoje, Daniel Sokari Pedro, Ayuba Ekpeji, and Usman Nagogo. The chairman of the Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, has described the Supreme Court's judgment of July 11, 2023, which pronounced the commission as the agency mandated to recruit constables for the Nigeria Police as a judgment in the best interest of the country. In a statement from the commission's head, press and public relations, Ike Chukwuani, Arase noted that the judgment legally cements the resolution of the issue in a win-win situation for the 2 institutions, which ordinarily cannot effectively function and deliver on their respective mandates without the cooperation of each other. Going forward, Arase announced that a recruitment board has been constituted and chaired by the Police Service Commission with other relevant stakeholders as members and will be inaugurated in no distant time. The board, according to him, will screen and ensure that only able and qualified members of the public are recruited into the Nigeria Police Force, while reflecting the principle of federal character. Earlier, we spoke to retired Assistant Inspector General of Police Wilson Inaligu, who shared his perspective on the retirement of senior police officers.
You know, there is a saying that speed kills, and excessive speed can lead to road crash. I don't want to say, but when you have stayed in a rank for so long, somehow it can get very monotonous. And it is a practice. I don't think it's a legal thing, but because a lot of us have had to work under even our juniors, because you are a superintendent of police, somebody that is behind you in the academy comes through special promotion. But I think this is a lesson for those who really want to beat all their mates. It's unfortunate, but I think the police, the MPF has a lot of officers within its ranks to fill those vacancies. As to whether they are experienced, after all, I am no longer a police officer, but here I am participating in this interview. I'm giving my best, advising the Nigerian people, advising security agencies. Everybody has a way he can serve his country. You don't have to be in active service. I think if you get to the rank of Deputy Inspector General, because the definition of IG is from AIG, DIG, and IG. So I think they have cause to thank God that they made it to IG. And I congratulate them for a glorious service and glorious outing. I don't think it will affect the police force in any way, because we have very capable officers that have even been promoted to take their place. I think it's a good thing that dispute has been put to rest with the decision of the Supreme Court, because we were in the situation that we couldn't afford that bickering. We needed officers. We needed to boost the numbers, because certainly the NPF had inadequate personnel staff strength challenge. And we expected that this unnecessary dispute between the Commission and the NPF shouldn't have been allowed to drag for so long. Unfortunately, it did. Because if we are talking about interagency cooperation, if we are talking about synergy, and then we have the same institution, more or less, the NPF and the PSC, having difficulty as to who is responsible for conducting recruitment to the NPF. And so the approval by the president then to have 10,000 join the force every year, that was cut off. And that even led to the resignation of the immediate past chairman, the former IGP Smith, who had to leave. So I think it's for public institutions to understand that the larger interest of the Nigerian people is much more important as to who is responsible, who is not responsible. But the good thing is that we're happy that this has been put behind us. But the NPF and the PSC must close ranks. Because when we are talking about community engagement, cooperation and collaboration, as same institution is having this challenge, it's not necessary. And I think the government, in future, when such things come up, should be very decisive and get the advice of the Attorney General of the Federation, so that proper advice will be given and instruction will be given to the appropriate agency. But all of them must come together. The Nigerian Police Force, the Police Service Commission, they should set the judgment notwithstanding, but it is important that they all come together so that we can have the best guys join the ranks of the NPF.
Retired Assistant Inspector General of Police Wilson Inalego. The president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Tasiu Gidari Wudil, has urged the federal government to consider building more dams along the River Niger and River Benue in response to the release of the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. Engineer Wudil made the call in Abuja on Monday. Flooding has become a recurring problem in certain areas, and the NSE believes that constructing additional dams can provide effective solutions to mitigate the impact of floods. Engineer Wudil noted that the construction of the dam should be a priority, while also calling for the dredging of major rivers to reduce siltation and sedimentation. He further called on the government to enforce existing policies and initiate legislation to protect the environment from the activities of man occasioned by industrialization and urbanization, as well as climate change. On the incessant building collapse in the country, Gidari Wudil attributed the persistent occurrences of building collapses across the country to the private sector's involvement, accusing them of undermining building standards by employing unqualified individuals in the construction process. According to the National Emergency Management Agency, their officials say no fewer than 11 states are likely to feel the negative impact of the opening of the Lagdo Dam. The states include Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Anambra, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Cross River. To avert any possible disaster that will likely follow the opening of the dam, stakeholders have set an agenda for the present administration in the area of mitigating the likely impact. Newell Sampson has more.
On Sunday, reports filtered in that Cameroon has informed the federal government that it will soon open its Lagdo Dam. This prompted stakeholders to set agenda for the federal and affected state government on the need to mitigate flood disaster.
Voices have been raised regarding the issues of flood, what the government needs to do. The government has a critical role. In this instance, government has the most critical role to play in terms of creating an environment that would minimize the flood from happening. So how do we ensure that our rivers, the waterways are dredged? How do we ensure that citizens are enlightened to clear their drainages, do not build on waterways? So buildings on structures that are on waterways are removed from the law, from the legal perspective, through the rule of law, not just demolishing people's property, of course, but going through the ambit of the law. And also, at the end of the day, when the flood occurs, what is our response? How do we get people that have been affected to succor? How do we ensure that, when you say move to higher ground, where is the higher ground? How do we ensure that from now, every local government creates that, local governments that are prone to flooding, those local government creates a higher ground, a place that people can go to, not schools, that we keep our children out of school.
He also used the opportunity to tax non-government organizations to help in the flood mitigation effort and not leave it all to the government.
NGOs and INGOs working in this area to make sure that we raise more resources, we respond to women, to children, to persons with disability that are caught up in such situation. But most important thing is preventive. How do we prevent it from happening, or how do we minimize the impact when it happens at the end of the day?
In addition to causing significant economic damage, floods can also have serious public health implications, including injuries, waterborne diseases, and mental health issues. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has resolved to end the incessant farmers-herders clashes in the country via a multi-faced approach to achieve lasting peace. Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, stated this at a meeting with the chairman and members of the ad hoc committee to interface with relevant stakeholders in Abuja. Here's that report.
Nigeria is home to many violent conflicts, one of which is the farmers-herders conflict that has posed severe security challenges to the country. The meeting between the House and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Gombe State Government and relevant stakeholders is with a view to finding lasting solutions to the recurring clashes between the farmers and herders in Yalmotu Deba and neighboring local government areas, including the regions of the country with similar incidents. Deputy Speaker of the House stressed that the clashes have resulted in avoidable loss of lives and property, with over 60,000 people killed since 2001. He noted that the number of deaths, injuries, and kidnapped persons constitutes an alarming situation and poses a serious national security challenge for Nigeria's quest to attain food security and alternative foreign earnings from the agricultural sector.
Your core mandate as a committee, therefore, is to uncover the facts, identify the remote and immediate causes of herder-farmer clashes In Yamautu, Deba, and other regions of this country, you should interrogate the degree of loss of lives and property and recommend policy and legislative solutions, including but not limited to what we are not able to have ranches, why we are not able to have ranches as in other jurisdictions.
Chairman of the committee, Aliyu Bapa, in his remark, said the issues faced by farmers and herders have reached what requires immediate attention and collaborative efforts from both parties to finding sustainable solution. He added that the conflicts have not only disrupted rural communities but the socio-economic life of the people with attendant negative political implications.
As chairman of this ad hoc committee, I recognize the urgency and the significance of our task. Our mandate is not just merely to study the long-standing tension between farmers and herders, which has escalated, leading to conflicts over land and resources competition for grazing areas and water resources, which has resulted in violence and loss of lives and property on both sides.
The primary objective of the meeting is to bridge the divide and foster improved understanding among farmers and herders, taking into cognizance the unique challenges faced by the groups by promoting dialogue, building trust, and creating an environment where mutual respect and shared prosperity can thrive. Meanwhile, the Bayelsa State House of Representatives caucus has condemned in the strongest terms the invasion of Oponembe in Nembe local government area of Bayelsa State by suspected armed thugs in military uniform. Briefing newsman in Abuja, the caucus said the violent attack on the community undermines the principles of peace, security, and justice which the state has been known for in the past, particularly in the last 3 years.
May we also remind the IGP, Inspector General of Police, that a sting operation of such nature carried out in total disregard of existing protocols with regards to the role of the executive governor as the chief security officer of the state within his domain in the clear absence of imminent threat to national security is not only a threat to our democracy, but raises questions of the presence of the Joint Security Task Force.
The caucus therefore urged the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to order an immediate investigation and arrest of the perpetrators.
The federal government, with the support of the International Organization for Migration, on Monday evacuated 139 Nigerian irregular migrants freed from detention centers across Libya. Ambassador Kabiru Musa, chargé d'affaires, in a statement made available to the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, on Monday in Abuja, said that the exercise seeks to ensure that no Nigerian is abandoned abroad for migration offenses. 139 evacuees departed Mitiga International Airport, Tripoli, aboard a chartered flight number UZ0189 on Monday afternoon, according to Musa. The evacuees, comprising 85 males, 51 females, 2 children, and 1 infant, will be received at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The diplomat said the returnees were sensitized on the dangers of irregular migration so that on return they can warn others against taking such dangerous routes. The Zamfara State branch of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, has issued a 1-week ultimatum to the state government to settle the 4 months' salary arrears of 17 medical doctors and the July salaries of all medical practitioners at the Yarima Bakura Specialist Hospital, Gusau, or face industrial action. The state NMA chairman, Sanusi Bello, who briefed journalists in Gusau, the state capital, also said the non-payment of the salary arrears of medical doctors at the hospital and 8 months' allowances to visiting consultants and professors has resulted in their withdrawal of services in the hospital. Here's that report.
The Zamfara State Chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, Sanusi Bello, said the association resolved to issue a 1-week ultimatum to the government of Zamfara State to address their demands, or the NMA will embark on a total and indefinite strike from Monday, September 4th, if the government fails. The NMA chairman warned that the measure would lead to a total closure of all hospitals, including federal, state, and private hospitals, in addition to the withdrawal of all medical and dental services by all medical doctors in Zamfara State.
NMA Zamfara has observed with utmost dismay the following. 1. Non-payment of 17 medical doctors their monthly salaries for a period of 4 months, despite several appeals by the doctors and complaints to hospital management, Accountant General, as well as the Deputy Governor of Zamfara State. 2. Non-payment of salary for July 2023 to all medical doctors in the hospital. 3. Non-payment of visiting consultants and professors their monthly allowances for a period of 8 months. This has resulted in the withdrawal of services of some of the consultants who have to travel from Sokoto and Kebbi State for their services.
Bello noted that the NMA had met with the state's deputy governor, Mani Mumuni, to discuss the affected industrial issues with no positive result.
One of the fundamental requirements for the accreditation of a tertiary hospital for postgraduate medical training is having adequate number of trainers, specialists, and this will be reviewed from time to time by the regulatory bodies in order to ensure quality training. Ensure a seamless commencement of the training and provision of specialist services to the hospital. The state government many years ago engaged the services of permanent and visiting consultants and professors who have been providing services for over 10 years now. The hospital has trained several doctors and has performed landmark surgeries at a very cheap rate for the residents of Zamfara State. Our observations.
Yariman Bokore Specialist Hospital Gusau is the only state-owned tertiary hospital saddled with the mandate of providing special medical services, postgraduate training, research, and innovation for the benefit of the people of the state. The NMA therefore called on the government to give priority to the welfare of the workers to avoid medical brain drain.
As part of a broader effort to reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to freeze the processing of visas for all government officials seeking to travel to New York for the United Nations General Assembly ANGA without proof of direct participation in ANGA's official schedule of activities. This was contained in a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale. To prevent any sharp practice in this regard, Nigeria's permanent mission in New York has been directed to prevent and stop the accreditation of any government official who is not placed on the protocol lists forwarded by the approving authority. According to the statement, all federal ministries, departments, and agencies are by this directive mandated to ensure that all officials who are approved for inclusion in the ANGA delegation strictly limit the number of aides and associated staff partaking in the event. It adds that where excesses or anomalies are identified, they will be removed during the final verification process. The President affirmed in the statement that henceforth, government officials and government expenditure must reflect the prudence and sacrifice being made by well-meaning Nigerians across the nation. You're watching NewsHour on Trust TV. Coming up, we take a look at the possible return of groundnut pyramids. Stay.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are hereby alerted to the activities of scavengers, also known as Babambula, which security agencies have identified as a high-level security threat to not only the residents, but also to our infrastructure as they perpetrate petty stealing and acts of vandalism on public utilities. More so, they are drug peddlers, serve as spies to terrorist elements, and are ready-made tools for the public disturbances during which they attack people with dangerous weapons. The Federal Capital Territory Administration therefore also reiterates that the ban on scavengers, aka Bababula, operating within the Federal Capital City is still in force. These miscreants are advised to stay off the streets of the Federal Capital City for their own good, as defaulters will be apprehended and prosecuted, including parents of underage children involved in these practices. Relevant agencies are carrying out enforcement of this ban as stipulated. Be law-abiding always. Let's together build the FCT of our dreams. Management announcer.
That's right, you too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 Naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of some of our top stories. President Tinubu unveils an 8-point agenda at first cabinet meeting and directs ministers to alleviate poverty. Police Service Commission directs 4 Deputy Inspectors General of Police to proceed on retirement. Moving to more news now, the All Progressive Congress APC in Kano State have directed its members to observe fasting and prayers to seek God's intervention to attain victory in the governorship election petition tribunal. The secretary of the party, Ibrahim Zakari Sarina, said on Monday that following this directive by the party, majority of their supporters have already commenced their fasting while offering prayers at various wards and local government levels. The development is coming barely 48 hours after the ruling New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, also held a prayer session on Saturday in the state, seeking for victory from God on the outcome of the much anticipated judgment, as well as for peace and tranquility in the state. He added that the prayer session was decentralized at ward levels and local government levels so as to have control and avoid any unwarranted circumstance. The two parties have been trading accusations since the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Flora Azinge, raised the alarm that some lawyers were allegedly making attempts to bribe members of the Election Petition Tribunal on behalf of their clients. The embattled chairmen and councillors of the 17 local government councils of Plateau State on Monday resumed in their offices amidst tight security, with a call on the people of their local government areas to remain calm and peaceful. The resumption followed a directive by the State Commissioner of Police, Julius Alawari, to allow them entrance to their offices 2 months after sealing of the council secretariats. Ado Musa, who visited Jos North Local Government Secretariat, reports that police personnel were seen stationed at the council to provide security, as earlier directed by the State Commissioner of Police. Here's that report.
The 17 local government secretariats were sealed off by the police following a clash by the supporters of the suspended chairman and the transition committee chairman, who were appointed by Governor Caleb Mutfwan. The governor had earlier suspended the elected chairman for alleged misappropriation of funds, an allegation that was denied by the chairman, who subsequently dragged him to court. Ezekiel Shina, deputy chairman of Jos North, speaks on their resumption.
And I still want to let you know that now that we have resumed our responsibility, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we are in here to do more than what we have been doing.
The deputy chairman, while addressing officials of the council, call on the people of the local government area to remain peaceful and law-abiding.
More so that just non-local government is the heartbeat of peace. As you rightly know, anything that affects just not affect the entire, not only the state, the nation as a whole, because Just Not is a mini Nigeria. There's no community that you cannot find in Just Not. So I want to create your indulgence that let's continue with our normal activities. We'll also see how we can sit down with traditional rulers to synergize, to have a synergy to ensure that, yes, we maintain the peace that we are enjoying in the local government.
The Plateau State government had faulted the directive issued by the police commissioner to unseal the secretariats of the 17 local government areas and allow the suspended chairman to operate. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
In the meantime, residents of Sabon Tasha in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State say the poor condition of the road is affecting the lives of the inhabitants of the area. The residents say conveying children to school and women to hospitals as well as daily runs for business activities have become difficult for the people of the area. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more on that story.
College Road links several communities within and outside Sabon Tasha ward, but its lack of accessibility makes life miserable for residents of this community, especially during rainy season.
When there is rain, accident, just even here, someone fell this morning. It's as if we don't exist. Let me be blunt to you. It's as if we don't exist.
Bad. Very, very, very bad. I've been in this environment for almost 10 years now. Yes, it's very bad. When I mean bad, it's very bad. During the rainy season is a concern.
Sometimes because of angry, we do say that, do we have government? Because of angry, because we know the stress we are passing through on this road.
Good and accessible roads boost businesses and make commercial activities easy for the traders. But in the case of College Road, residents say the poor condition of the road has negatively affected their businesses.
It affects our business because you cannot transport yourself. You cannot go freely on the road because of the rain. Because if you are moving, maybe by the hole you see a water, you fall inside.
Most of our customers cannot have access to us because of the bad roads, which is not accessible, especially during the rainy season, which is affecting our sales. Most times we sleep in the shop because no customers.
We traders are finding it difficult to go to the market due to the condition of the road. Added to this is the fact that commercial vehicles don't want to convey us from the market. We are appealing to the government to come to our aid by fixing the road.
The councillor of Sabon Tasha Ward, Dauda Makama, while urging residents to be calm, said the local government has repaired the road to some extent, noting, however, that the present condition of the road is beyond the capacity of Chikun local government. He appealed to the state government to intervene.
The last time we came to the seats, the Honorable Chairman was opportune, Engineer Selassie was opportune to do some maintenance of the road here. Well, you know, the local government have their limits, and I am very, very sure you see what really happened at the road. The road is still bad, and we're calling on the government to intervene because a lot of people are going out every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. During rainy season, they are not finding it easy. And even the bikes people, the Okada, and even people that have their various vehicles here are not getting it easy. So, if possible, if the government can assist, because the local government have do their best, we need the state to come in and help the community.
The former chairman of Chikun local government who oversaw the repair of the road project was suspended by the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai. The residents are now calling on the new administration of Senator Obasani to help build the road to give them easy access to other parts of the metropolis. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
4 persons escaped death as a Peugeot 406 conveying them went up in flames at Old Airport Junction, Jos. the Plateau State capital. The incident occurred Monday evening and caused traffic congestion on the highway as motorists tried to avoid the scene of the incident on a dual carriageway in Jos City. An eyewitness, Amos Gang, said the vehicle was left to burn after several motorists exhausted their fire extinguishers. Trust TV learned that the traffic warden stationed at Old Airport Roundabout had to immediately cordon off the lane to prevent other road users from falling victim of the fire. It took 30 minutes before men of the State Fire Service arrived at the scene to put out the raging fire. Troops of Operation Safe Haven on Operation According Damisa 4 have arrested 17 criminals in connection with murder, kidnapping and armed robbery, as well as recovered arms, ammunition and illicit drugs in various operations in Plateau and Southern Kaduna. Media and Information Officer of the operation, Captain Oya James, disclosed this on Monday at the headquarters of the command in Jos, the Plateau State capital. Briefing journalists, Captain James said the troops arrested 5 murder suspects for killing one Joshua Deme in his farm at Kasab village in Barkinladi local government area of Plateau State. Troops also carried out a sting operation at Jangidi Tasha village in Jama'a local government area Kaduna State, where a suspected kidnapper Baba Yusuf Habu, who has been on the wanted list of Operation Safe Haven, was arrested. Another kidnap incident was foiled at Angwan Takai village in Bokos local government area, consequent upon prompt response to a distress call by the troops. The media officer further said troops had raided the hideout of criminals at Gwash and Kamatan villages in Jos North, Zango Kataf local government areas of Plateau and Kaduna State and recovered 1 pistol, cartridges and rounds of 7.62mm special, adding that a notorious armed robber, Mohammed Lawal, was also arrested in Kafanchan town by troops and 2 fabricated rifles and 1 pistol recovered from him. In the meantime, men of the Ogun State Police Command at the weekend arrested 116 suspected cult members in the E4 area of the state. The cultists, 70 male, 46 females, who are members of the IE confraternity, were arrested by the command's anti-cultism squad at Galaxy Hotel, Ibogun Road. According to a statement by the command, the police acted on a security report that the cultists would be having their initiation and anniversary ceremonies. Following the report, the anti-cultism squad was drafted to the scene, leading to the arrest of the suspects. Items recovered from them include 4 axes, 7 cutlasses, anniversary invitation cards, banners, axes, illicit drugs and cannabis. The suspects have been taken to the Elewerong Police Command headquarters and are currently undergoing interrogation. The State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alamutu, warned cultists and other criminal elements to steer clear of the state or risk apprehension. 1 person lost his life and 4 others who were abducted on their way from Aworo village near Agbamu in Kwara State back to Oyan, Osun State, regained freedom on Sunday after alleged payment of 7 million ransom to their abductors. Last Monday, one Grace Adepoju, said to be the Yalo Day of Oyan in Osun State, her surveyor and 4 others went to Agbamu for commercial transaction, and while returning around 6:30 in the evening, they were attacked and kidnapped at Awuru, a community at the Osun and Kwara State border. While Adepoju escaped from the abductors in the early hours of Tuesday, others remained in the kidnappers' den, while local hunters, operatives of Amotekun, and policemen made efforts to free them. During the search, 2 persons suspected to be informants to the kidnappers, who were found making calls inside the bush, were arrested and taken into custody by the police team from Kwara State. The spokesperson for the Osun State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Kehinde Adeleke, declined comment on the payment of ransom, but confirmed the release of 4 abductees and the death of 1. The federal government has been charged to investigate all cases of missing persons, including the enforced disappearances arising from insurgency. The call was made at the commemoration of the yearly Solidarity and Campaign for Victims of Enforced Disappearance across the country in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Adamu Ngulde has more.
Speaking at the event, Country Director Amnesty International Malam Isa Sanusi said there was need to intensify the campaign against the government's deafening silence on the fate of victims of enforced disappearances in the region. Need to intensify the campaign against the government's deafening silence on the fate of victims of enforced disappearances in the region. He said the number of missing and enforced disappearances was much higher, urging the authorities to implement the Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance effectively.
We are calling on the Nigerian government to investigate all enforced disappearances of the thousands of people since the beginning of the insurgency in the northeast Nigeria, and trace the whereabouts of women, children, and older people whose whereabouts have not been known for as much as 14 years, some 8 years.
Beside the law, he urged the federal government to ensure thorough investigation of enforced disappearances and ensure that suspects are prosecuted in accordance with international standards. The director Al-Amin Foundation, Hamsatu Al-Amin, said the foundation has recorded over 23 missing persons during the 14-year crisis in the northeast.
As I am speaking now, we have registered over 23,000 people missing. But the heartwarming thing is that recently, in the last 2 years, the leadership of particularly in the Nigerian military has started releasing some of these victims to us.
Some of the victims urged the government at all levels to investigate all cases of missing persons, including the enforced disappearances arising from the insurgency since 2009 to date.
I will speak on behalf of the people of our town of Andara in Kumshe Bama town. About 9 years ago, my brother and my husband's brother went out, but up till now, no one knows what happened to them. Therefore, we are urging the government at all levels to intervene so that to know the future of our brothers and sisters.
They arrested them in Bama in our home. They took them to Bama Barracks. From there, they transferred them to the Maimalari Barracks. From then, we have no idea of them.
Stakeholders urge Nigerian authorities to also provide effective protection for persons who file complaints of their missing persons and enforce disappearances, as well as families of the disappeared person. From Maiduguri, Adamu Ngulde, Trust TV News.
And now to agriculture. Groundnut is among the products grown by many farmers, especially in northern Nigeria. In this report, Abubakar Abdullahi looks at the importance of the cereal crop to the public. His report is presented from our studios.
Harvest of groundnut involves a series of activities such as propagation through seeds. The seeds are shielded just 2 weeks before planting. Groundnut seeds are either grown in the nursery, then transplanted to the main area, or they are directly sown in the main field. Most of the groundnut seeds takes 3 months or little above to mature for consumption. As an essential product, groundnut can be consumed fresh, dried, roasted, depending on the user of the farm item. A farmer who shared his experience on the groundnut plantation said if proper attention is given to producers of such product, it will add value to their activities.
Virtually everybody eats groundnut in one way or the other, either through the oil or through the grinded one or through every other means. And as a farmer, I realized that the major challenge we have with groundnut is the storage. It's a very sensitive crop. If it is not well stored, it can lead to damages. So we have that major challenge with storing groundnut. And that has a way of also trying to affect the preservation. If it's not preserved, after a short while, you won't have groundnut again.
The farmer further said if not for the challenges of farm shortages due to crises in some communities and hunger, which often force farmers not to store their products, the groundnut pyramid of 60s can return to the country. Musa Abdullahi, a groundnut trader at Lafia Cereal Crop Market, said they got supplies by either going to farms or farmers transported the product to them for exchange. He said rather than store the grain, they prefer selling it to their customers outside the state because groundnut can effectively be stored only when it is dried.
We load and take the groundnut to Kano to sell at the available market price. We have not started storing because the groundnut has not dried yet. We can only store dried one.
Groundnut, as you do know, is essential part of our meal. You know, we use it for a lot of things, for kunu. We call it kunu jeda in this part of the country. We use it for soup. We use it as meal. You eat it raw, you cooked it, you know, before meal. You know, so it is very important and essential part of our meal in this part of the country.
He said despite the perishable nature of groundnut, families use available facility to store it for future consumption. He called on government to support groundnut farmers by providing storage facilities for them.
Some residents of Bayelsa State on Sunday night invaded a warehouse in the Kwansia area of Yenagoa, the state capital, and looted foodstuff. Some of the items looted include bags of rice and gari. In a statement, the Bayelsa State Emergency Management Agency, BAISEMA, condemned the incident, describing it as an unwarranted invasion. The agency said warehouse was privately owned, adding that the incident occurred about 7:45 p.m. on Sunday, August the 27th, almost an hour after the Director General, Walam Igrubia, alongside some BAISEMA personnel left the warehouse premises. The agency explained that during the 2022 flood in the state, it used the warehouse to store food items. It said the looted items were not fresh food palliatives and were not hoarded by the state government. The agency declared the items as unfit for human consumption, noting that a responsible, caring government will not give Bayelsans such items as palliatives. It's time now to join Chamun Dabeng for Business News.
The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise say the decline in productivity is harming the nation's economic expansion. The body stated this while responding to the National Bureau of Statistics release of its gross domestic products data for the second quarter of the year. According to Chief Executive Officer of CPPE, Muda Yusuf, the negative effects of the most recent economic reforms were disproportionately greater than anticipated. An economic rebound is anticipated in the medium to long term as current economic distortions are removed, according to the statement which was signed by the Chief Executive Officer of CPPE. Yusuf further pointed out that a number of industries, including oil, refining, livestock, crude, oil and gas, and textiles, are all experiencing downturn as a result of macroeconomic, structural, or policy concerns. After the Central Bank of Nigeria formally floated the naira and liberalized the foreign exchange market, Nigeria's foreign reserves decreased by $950 million. According to CBN data, the reserves decreased from $34.66 billion in June 14, 2023, the day the naira was floated, to $33.74 billion on August 24, 2023. The investor and exporter forex window had the naira value close to 471 naira 67 kobo to the dollar on June 13th, the day before the CBN announced the naira float. Following the development, the local currency at the IND window dropped to 700 naira to the dollar. Since then, the naira has been trading above 700 naira to the dollar. With borrowing from the Apex Bank increasing in the final 8 months of 2023, there are signs that commercial banks and merchant banks are relying more on it for liquidity. The financial institutions borrowed a total of 12.46 trillion naira from the CBN over the first 8 months of this year, with the exception of August 2023, which expires this week. In the first 8 months of 2022, the financial institutions borrowed 6.96 trillion naira from the central bank, an increase of 79%. According to CBN data, commercial banks and merchant banks drew 10.25 trillion naira from the CBN through the SLF window between January and June this year, up 138% year-on-year from 4.3 trillion naira borrowed during the same period of Q1 of 2022. The CBN report indicated that 4.95 trillion naira for the first quarter of 2022 was higher than the half-year figures. That's all for Business News. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Thank you, Chamun. On the international scene, protests have erupted in Libya after Israel said its foreign minister had met with his Libyan counterpart in spite of the two countries having no formal diplomatic links. Prime Minister Abdulhamid Bebe suspended Foreign Minister Najla Mangoush after she met with Israeli counterpart Eli Cohen. Meanwhile, the Libyan Foreign Ministry denied Mangoush had held formal talks with Cohen and said the meeting in Rome was a casual, non-official and previously unprepared meeting. In an online statement, the ministry said it fully and categorically rejected any normalization of relations with Israel. The Libyan news site Al Wasat reported on Monday, citing security circles, that the foreign minister had meanwhile flown to Turkey on a government plane. The source added that the minister left the airport with the help of the Internal Security Agency. The parliament based in eastern Libya called for an emergency meeting on Monday to discuss what it termed the legal and ethical crime against the Libyan people, referring to the reported encounter. Protesters reportedly set fire to the residence of Bebe and called for his resignation on Sunday night. Time now to join Kabir Lawal for Sports Update.
The first stunning result of the 2023 FIBA World Cup was recorded on Sunday when France was eliminated after its second loss in the group stage. France, the 2020 Olympic silver medalist, fell by 2 points to Latvia after a disappointing fourth quarter in which it scored just 12 points. Latvia outscored France by 14 points in the final frame to knock Rudy Gobert and co. out of the championship consideration. France's unexpected early elimination capped a day of incredible performances across Indonesia, Japan and Philippines. Dennis Schroeder turned in the best individual showing for Germany, while Japan picked up an historic win in front of its own fans. France entered as one of the favorites to win the World Cup, but instead it will go home without winning any honors. Alexandre Usyk ended Daniel Dabo's world heavyweight title dream with a 9th-round knockout in Wroclaw. Usyk kept hold of WBA, IBF and WBO belts with a 14-knockout win in 21 fights, much to the delight of the large contingent of his fellow Ukrainians who have resided in Poland since Russia's invasion of their country last year. Usyk upped the pace in the 7th, forcing Dabos to take a backward step and leaving the Londoner mark for the first time. Dabos recovered in the 8th, but in the final 10 seconds, he was dropped to the canvas. The US Open begins on Monday with a nation hoping that Coco Gauff might win her first Grand Slam title and light up women's tennis in the United States. But when it comes to the men's event, for all the potential storylines, will Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic get through their respective side of the draw to set up another mouth-watering contest? The two men have dominated the big events this year, with Djokovic winning the Australian Open and the French Open, while Alcaraz clinched his first Wimbledon title. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal.
And that's Kabir Lawal giving us all the juicy details from the sports world. And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV tonight. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. On behalf of the team, I am Eugenia Abu. We thank you for watching.
the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.